Hi everybody and welcome to Behind the Bars TV. Now this is my little Christmas message to everybody who's watching, all my viewers, all my subscribers. And I just want to say this year has been a brilliant year for Behind the Bars TV. Over 58,000 subscribers now, which has come a long way since I started this channel up. I started it, I think, around about less than 2 years ago. And in them 2 years, I've went on to have well over 10 million views on my channel. And that's down to you lot for watching it and you lot for subscribing. And like I've just mentioned, I just want to say a massive thank you for your continuing support. And I want to say a Merry Christmas to everybody watching. Hope everybody has a good time. I hope everyone has an even better new year. Get them goals together in your head. Get a plan together. Don't just go through life thinking about things. Put it into action. Put it into plan. If you want something, go out there and get it. You will not get it with the mentality of sitting there watching other people getting things and think to yourself, why is it not coming to me? It's not coming to you because you're not working for it. So make next year the year you go out and you get what you want. Even if you're sitting in prison and you're dreaming about getting out, or you might be out next year, put your plans into action ready for when you get out and make sure you're ready for getting out into the world. But for the channel going forward next year, I've got massive plans. This is just the beginning of the channel. And like I mentioned, 58,000 subscribers. This time last year, I was on 16,000 because I seen a video pop up off a year ago, or it popped up on my Facebook, off a year ago what I shared. And it had 16,000 subscribers. And it's went up a huge amount within a year. I've just done a podcast there with Shaun Attwood, and he was congratulating us how quick my channel has took off. And even though, because his channel has got 800,000 subscribers now, but he started his channel off in 2007, which is 16 years ago. My channel isn't even into the second year, so if I keep pressing on, the channel is just going to get bigger and better. In these podcasts when we've just been having a little chat there, he was saying on about my subscriber count, and he said it took him, I think he said it was a 4 or 5 year just to get 2,000 subscribers. So again, thank you all for watching and subscribing. But there is, believe it or not, even though I've got that amount of subscribers, it still says that 60-70% of my viewers are still not subscribed to my channel. So if you are watching, a lot of people don't realize that they haven't subscribed. Go down, double check, just to help the channel grow and get that image looking a lot better, get that 100,000 more, because that's my aim for this time next year, to smash through 100,000 subscribers. And I know with my consistency and the way that I deliver my videos and deliver my podcasts, people like the authenticity of it. They like that I'm humble. I come across well. I don't have any negative stuff on my channel. But again, I think if I keep the consistency up, which I'm going to, because that's my plan for next year, I want to break through that 100,000 subscriber mark, and just to prove that if you're consistent with something, it will work. Because when I started up this channel, it was all to do with my book, Behind the Bars, Ruthless Fitness, which is a book that I wrote whilst I was in prison. And it teaches the individual how to get stronger both physically and mentally. And if you follow the book, it will do exactly that. So me coming onto YouTube was me advertising my book. That's what it started off as, and it was telling people all about the book. But as the channel grew, when I started talking about prison and mentioning prison in the title, the channel just started growing and growing, and the viewer count went up. It went up massively. And I did have over 500 videos on my channel, and it was up to about 12-13 million views. But I deleted around about 200 videos because a lot of the videos in the early stages was me talking about me book, and the views weren't massive, but I mean, like I've just mentioned, there was still 2 to 3 million views, but I hadn't realised when you delete them videos, them views disappear as well. So my channel's had around about 13 million views, which is an epic proportion of views. But yes, going forward for next year, like I've just done the podcast there with Shaun Attwood, which will be going out. I'll try and get it out next week, actually, because everyone's off work over the Christmas period. There'll be a lot more people active on YouTube. So I will be uploading part 1 of Shaun Attwood telling his story. And that will be on in between Christmas and New Year. I'll try and get it up for what day is Christmas is on the Monday. I'll get it up for Wednesday next week. But if you are watching this and it's past Wednesday next week, go back and have a look. Check out the podcast I've just done with Shaun Attwood, because I've read his book whilst I was in prison. He's got a few books, but Hard Time was one of the books I read. One of the lads from the library actually gave us it. He says, yeah, have a read of this book, decent book. So I read that book, and when I got out, I got in touch with Shaun. I've ended up going on his channel, doing a podcast with him. And I thought it would be interesting to get him on here to get his full story, because even though I'd read his book and I do know a bit about his life story, I wanted to delve into it a bit more, find out about before he went to America, what happened when he was over there, when he was getting into dealing ecstasy. And I just wanted to find out a lot more about his story, which I have done in part 1, but we had to cut it short, which will probably be better because it was about an hour and a half long. And sometimes the podcast can go on a bit long and people do get a bit bored. So I think doing a part 2 will be a lot more interesting, because we'll be fresh coming into it again, and we'll talk about a lot more about what it was like spending time in the Arizona prisons and then into the Supermax prisons, and then what's going on in his life back over here now with his YouTube channels, the different topics he's talking about, and that's where we're going with that podcast. But moving forward for next year, I will be getting a lot more guests on. If there's anyone watching this that's got a fascinating story to tell, that wants to share their experiences, come along. You can come to my podcast room where I'm sitting in now. You can do the podcast face to face, or we can do a Zoom like I've just done with Shaun. I'm also getting Billy Moore up. He's coming up in January. He's actually coming up to do a face to face podcast. And he's another one when in my early stages of getting my book out and doing podcasts. Billy Moore was one of the first ones that I'd done a podcast with as well. So, like I say, I'm now doing interviews with the podcasters that I'd done my podcast with in the start. And it's just returning that favour, giving them a little bit public or a bit advertising, because they've got books out to sell. So I will be putting their books in the links when I do the podcast with them. But Billy Moore, everyone will know who he is as well if they're following these type of podcasts. And he's got an interesting story. He spent time in Thai prisons, and he's a recovering addict. And he's got an interesting story, so it'll be good to get Billy on and have a bit chat with him, get his story out. But again, there's going to be loads more podcast guests coming on. I've got loads of topics in mind. I mean, I remember somebody said once there's only so much prison you can talk about, but there's not. There's people going into prison all the time. There's prison news. There's endless amounts of stories you can talk about prison. Prison stories date back centuries. So there's any amount of topics that I've got to talk about, and I'll be talking about prisons in all different countries. I will be going round. This is on my agenda where I'll be going round and doing stories on individual prisons. Like I did a similar one on the Franklin prison where I've done a bit of a walk around outside the prison. I will be doing one on Durham. Then I'll be doing them on further afield, talking about the prisons itself and doing a little bit of a walk around the outside of the prison and talking about the history of the prison, who's in the prisons. And these are the type of topics that the viewers find interesting. But moving forward into the year, if there's any other topics or anything that yous would like me to cover what you find interesting, give us a shout, let us know in the comments section, and I'll be sure to look into it and give you my thoughts on that and tell you whether or not I can do that. And going forward with the Life Without Parole series, I've covered around about 20 cases up till now. If you go on my playlist section on here, you will see that. And in total, there's been 100 cases of life without parole dished out since it was brought out in 1983. And I will be covering 100 cases. Currently, there's around about 73 still serving this sentence, but I will cover all 100 cases, past and present. And some of them 100 cases got life without parole, but then they went and appealed it, and they got the sentence reduced on appeal. But I will also be covering them because they, like I just stated, got life without parole as well. So technically, they did get that sentence, but then they got it reduced on appeal. And there's only one that I remember that got it reduced on appeal. It's because I've already done the story on him, which was David Bieber, who was the cop killer from America, who killed the police officer on Boxing Day, rather. And I've already covered that case. But I will cover all 100 cases, and there's more topics, endless amounts. I've got the prison news to get through, and I'll be uploading more videos next week, so stay tuned, people. There's loads for you to watch. I've just done a video about Louis DeZoiza, who killed the police officer Mark Ratana in the police station down in, I forget where it was now. Anyways, I've done that video. It's all edited. It's up on my channel, ready to be released. But I think I'll be releasing that one next week because, like I say, with the festive period, a lot of people are busy with the families. So after Boxing Day and in between Boxing Day and New Year's Eve, I'll be releasing a few videos just so that more people can get the chance to watch them when they're off work and give you something to watch. But again, people, I just hope you all have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. Keep your heads screwed on. Think about what you're doing over the festive period. Don't get overly merry and forget what you're doing. For me, I'm spending my Christmas with me family because I've missed a lot of Christmases when I've been in prison. I missed 2 Christmases with me wife and kids when I went back on my recall not long ago recently. This is me third Christmas back out now. And like I've just mentioned, I'll be spending it with me wife, me kids, me family, me loved ones. I'm teetotal all over the festive period because I don't want to be going into the new year feeling rough, feeling down and feeling negative. I want to be going into the new year with a fresh mind, fresh outlook. And for me personally, next year, 2024, I've got some big plans. And next year is going to be my best year yet. And all will be revealed in the coming years, or in the coming year, sorry. But again, thank you all for watching, people. Have the best time possible. And if you are in a bad state of mind and you're watching this and you're wanting a little bit more inspiration, try and just think about the future. Think about what you want. Put all the negative stuff in the past. Leave it there where it belongs and focus on what's in the future, what you want in your life. If you want something bad enough, you will get it. Focus on that and make next year the year that you excel. Thank you all for watching, people. Take care.